Hi, Mr. X with Glossary Term Reference Angle. I like to describe this as the quickest way back to the x-axis. We use this in trigonometry. We used to use it a lot more when we looked values up in tables, admittedly. But it's a really good idea to reference this reference angle, as it were, because trig values in the different quadrants all have the same absolute value as they have with the reference angle. So the reference angle is always an acute angle. It's the quickest way back to the x-axis. Some folks refer to this as the related angle. I got in the habit of calling it a reference angle. Reference, related, it's still the quickest way back to the x-axis. Alright, we're going to move one of these rays around. We say, okay, we have a standard angle in there. No problem. We know how to do that. We have an acute angle, no fuss, no muss. What if we have an angle, all the way down into the third quadrant? Now what's the sine and cosine of that guy? Well, they'll have the same absolute value as the reference angle, or related angle. Here's our reference angle theta. It's the quickest way back to the x-axis, or the negative x-axis. We don't really need that little negative sign there. We know that's negative x. We have our x-axis here. We have our y-axis here. Yes, there's a y-axis down here as well. But all we have to worry about is this angle right in here. Absolutely. Whatever angle we have here is effectively the same angle that we have right here. And so if we have all of our trig values here, if we assume that we are on the unit circle, then we have cosine theta, sine theta for our x and y values here. Then what are the values out here? Well, they're going to have the same absolute values. The cosine of this angle, and now we're interested in our total angle. We're interested in the sine and cosine at that angle, the big angle, the angle that's more than 180 but less than 270 degrees. We're interested in this third quadrant angle. Well, if we know the sine and cosine of this angle, then we effectively know the sine and cosine of this angle. They'll have the same absolute values. Absolutely. Now let's see. In the third quadrant, sine and cosine are both negative. Sure. So we look up the values of cosine theta, and we look up the value of sine theta for this angle, and we know the values here. We'll just take the negative of those values for both sine and cosine because we're in the third quadrant. So in effect, this value of theta is our reference angle, which is the fastest way back to the x-axis. Mr. X, Mentor of Mathematics at MrXmath.com.